All right, we're recording. You have a collared shirt on, so I guess we're leaving the house today.
Yeah, got to actually go see some people in person. Exciting times.
Josie in the background, just hanging out on the top of the couch.
My cold calling therapy dog.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can get her a sponsor. Can we get like a Petco sponsor or something?
What are the
Just sell out to everybody.
What?
JBL headset, dog food, anything we can just
Yep.
sell ourselves. Just sell ourselves. Sell out.
For those of you who are listening and not watching, Micah's Australian Shepherd basically sits with him all day on his couch or on his little couch in his home office while he makes calls. So she's like your therapy dog.
Hey, by the way, I'm also drinking my David Carruthers coffee mug
With your face on it.
with my face on it.
Yikes.
Shout out to David.
Yep.
Go check out his
even though
podcast if you haven't.
He's 100% not listening to this.
No way.
I don't think he's a consumer of other people's content. All right. So I don't know what I'm going to title this episode, but basically I just want to jam on Max Revenue HQ. Newsletter went out last night, Sunday the 28th. We, as of right now, recording, it's about 9:15. We've got well over 100 people in already. So the response seems to be welcomed. People seem pretty jacked about it. So yeah, I just want to talk about what it is, what we see it being, why somebody might or might not want to be involved. So yeah, I'm going to turn it over to you, run with it for a second, and then I'll chime in.
Yeah, I mean, I think at its core, what you and I both came from a big shop, right? And you did a good job of laying this out in the newsletter. But one of the strengths that I don't think the big shops actually do enough talking about, and especially in front of clients, is like, hey, the power of intellectual capital, whatever you want to call it. That's the fancy word, but just people, right? If you got a problem and you have a client that's expanding into Florida, you're in Texas, for example, and you're like, holy cow, what do I do? You can call wholesale brokers, underwriters, but you're kind of limited to your little region. Well, if you're at a bigger shop, that is one of the advantages, I would say, is like you have someone within your own company that's experienced it, that's a go-to, and it can be really just helpful. Now I know there's groups and associations that agencies partner with, and but those just aren't quite the same as having an internal team, right? And people all across the country to bounce ideas off of. So we thought, like, hey, like you said, you were making a ton of calls and you kept hearing, yeah, I feel like I'm on an island. It'd be nice to have some, collaboration. And then I was like, yeah, I just got a call last week from a buddy I used to work with at Federated that he needed a monoline auto market here in Texas, didn't have a clue, and I just kind of said, yeah, man, check these guys out. And he was super appreciative. So that's kind of that's essentially the problem that we're looking to solve with this community. And it's not going to be you or I solving it, because we can't, first of all, and we don't have the time, we're growing our own books, but secondly, we just can't, we're not all over the country. But that's where we're depending on people joining and truly having a growth mindset. That was one of our things. Like, this is not for you if you're worried about, like, I can't share. What if I share with a competitor? Don't join them. That's fine. Totally valid concern. Don't join, right? So this is for people that just want to collaborate, look for help, resources, maybe motivation, inspiration, whatever. And we do realize there's LinkedIn, there's, platforms like that. But I think there's so much other garbage on LinkedIn and stuff. This is purely for like producers, and we want to keep it that way. So hopefully that's what happens, and what comes out of it is that everyone that's part of it feels like, hey man, I got kind of a team of people across the country, and just a community that if I got a situation that I need some help on, I got someone to back me. And then also I can give too, right? I can give and help people out that might need some support or have a weird question in my state that they've never faced before, just a weird coverage question, whatever the case may be.
100%. So if you're just tuning in, you're not quite sure what the hell we're talking about. Last night we launched Max Revenue HQ and sent out an invite to all of the newsletter subscribers. Basically gave them free access forever. It is and I hate the word community, like Facebook totally ruined that for me. But think of it as a platform for producers. I don't know what we'll end up calling it, but basically right now it has the label of a community for producers in the trenches by producers in the trenches. So I'll put the link in the show notes if you want to join. Yes, it's still free as the time of recording this. We may charge one day for it, but not right now. But basically, you go on, you create your profile. We give you a prompt of basically how to introduce yourself to the group. And then you got a couple of different tabs, right? We're going to have, at least to start off with, a monthly Q&A call, producer roundtable type deal. And this will all evolve as we go, but there will be monthly calls. There's we have a little classroom set up in there as well, where we put together this short little concise course called Prospecting 101. You'll also see a thing in there called Q&A, where all of the previously recorded Q&As from Max Revenue HQ will go in there. We'll be building up this content library for people to be able to go in and consume whatever it is that they want. There's a thread, a forum in there where you can go in and drop your questions. There are you can DM other members in there. So if you want to set up your own accountability group, go ahead. A lot of people are getting involved to use it more as an accountability deal for their prospecting. There's a million different ways you can skin the cat or you can use this. But basically at the end of the day, we're just aggregating growth-minded producers from around the country who are of an abundance mindset and want to get involved, looking for help or to give back. And yeah, so if that sounds like your cup of tea, go check the show notes. The link will be in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's funny, as you and I were brainstorming this idea, like you allude to in the letter, of course, like, should we charge for this? What should we do? And ultimately, the reason we came to the point where we were at, like, let's just do it at no cost, is because we genuinely, our hearts feel like, hey, there's a lot of people that need help, and our mission is to help as many growth-minded producers out there as possible. That ends up being a lot of times a lot of younger people, right? And so we were like, hey, this is a way to kind of give back and try to help people out. We see a need in the market for it. We're full-time producers, so we're not depending on this for our income, right? So that certainly helps as well. There's nothing wrong with capitalism, and I think, like you said, there might be a day where maybe there's some type of, paid option or something. But right now, we're just trying to see if, what the interest level was. And I think it's pretty apparent through your conversations and through the first 10 hours or so, that there's pretty good interest. So, but it's going to be whatever people make it be, right? That's the other thing, is you and I can maybe, facilitate some things, get some things going, but it's going to really be people getting involved that are going to make it valuable. And if everyone sits on the sideline and doesn't want to contribute or help, it's going to probably suck, right? So and then, I think you and I have just been, I mean, my wife used to ask me all the time. She was like, this was back in 2020 when I was just posting on LinkedIn before Max Revenue was born, in November of 2021 or whatever that was. But I'd be in calls with producers all the time, right? Just, hey, can I pick your brain? Blah, blah, blah. And I enjoyed it. It was kind of my way to help people out. And she's like, man, you're on the phone all the time with these guys. Like, what do you get out of it? And I was like, no, I get it. And so then Max Revenue comes around, and then it gets even more, right? Inbox getting flooded. And it's like, I'm trying to respond to people. We can't. And we thought this was just one way to maybe help facilitate things, right? And help more people.
Way back in 2018, I was one of those LinkedIn DMs that reached out to you.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. And I mean, I still will take, a one-off question here or there, try to, but I mean, you and I are both literally trying to grow our books back. I started just over 2 years ago from scratch. You started a year and a month ago, so it's like, we're in the thick of it, right? So we're going through it, which also I think gives us a unique perspective on the feedback and the tips and tricks that we share and the things that we talk about, because we are going through it.
Now I will say this, there are 3 criteria you have to meet in order to get in. And we've already had some sketch balls trying to sneak in.
Underwriters?
I had to ban them. A couple of people selling stuff and a couple of underwriters. I had to give them the axe.
Let them know we'll take sponsorships if it's a recruiter, underwriter.
Oh, we'll let you in.
Yeah,
we'll let you in for a fair price.
Yeah.
No, I just don't want people to get bombarded with ads and stuff. Like who knows, we may have somebody sponsor HQ one day, but I mean, I don't want it to be like a scammy Facebook group where you get in there and everybody's trying to sell you every second post, But this is going to be whatever people make it, and I'm sure there's going to be use cases that come up of how people are using it that we didn't imagine. But, what I foresee is people meeting other producers, using it as an accountability, people coming on and sharing just insights that they've learned, people coming on and asking questions. Hey, I've got this issue. I've got this deal. I've got this coverage question, blah, blah, blah. I think it would actually be great for like market intel and placement. The analogy I use all the time is, I think like year 3, I had this guy. I was trying to sell him. He was an auto dealer, and I was chasing auto dealers, which was an awful idea.
Don't do it.
No. I was chasing him, and he's like, you know what? He's like, I'm not really having an issue with this, but he's like, dude, my yacht insurance went up by like 200%. Can you help me with that? And like, of course, being at Marsh, I hopped on the phone. I just went on our intranet, found the guy in Florida that, was our yacht guy. We had a couple of yacht guys, but anyways, you know what I'm saying? Called the guy closest to me, and he started putting the deal together. But that's not something that I ever could have sold on my own. And so, people using it for stuff like that. I mean, you guys can collaborate. A lot of you guys are at regional or smaller agents. I mean, hell, double broker stuff, split the deal, find a way to, if you've got an opportunity 2 states over and you don't have a market, I mean, find somebody else that you can partner with, go win the deal, double broker it, do whatever. I just wanted to make, and I say we, but when I think about all this stuff is like the genesis of Max Revenue was like, what did Trey need in 2018? And if I can just
obviously
solve
more than Micah. I wasn't enough.
My wife would agree. What could I have used? Like what did I need? And that's really what it comes down to. And the line that I put in the newsletter that I really liked was, let me find it here. And I don't know. It's definitely not true as of right now, but this is ultimately what I would like is, let me find this one.
Once you find it, let me know, because I'll chime in on a couple of things.
Yep. Okay. From this day forward, no producer can say they couldn't find help.
There you go. Take ownership, man. That's such a big skill set. I think that's lacking in not just producers, account managers, the whole any professional work environment is people that take ownership. So,
am
I still there?
What was your dynamite drop-ins?
Yeah, so 2 different ideas I wanted to drop. So last year just finished. I had my best year ever by a long shot. And guess what? I was also doing a podcast. We created a course, took more calls than ever. I gave way more than I ever have in terms of like helping people out. And I just think it's kind of an interesting correlation is like, I get messages all the time, like, or you do too. I know, like, how do you have time to do all this stuff? First of all, the leverage of social media makes it appear like you're always on it, but you're not. And you're always putting stuff out there. And trust me, I'm working, 99% of my time is on my book, right? But I think it was just interesting that if that's kind of the growth mind versus the scarcity mind, right? So if you're gonna get in this community, it's not like we're asking hours of your time. I mean, it could be just 10 minutes a week. Just get on there, share something that you think is interesting. Hey guys, I came across this situation. Like that's what's going to make it cool, but also it's just going to, give and you shall receive. It's not like you're giving to receive, but it's just kind of a byproduct, right? When you have that mindset. And the other thing I thought of, and I shared this on our YouTube channel, which if you haven't checked out, go subscribe, Max Revenue YouTube channel.
Killer segue.
Yeah. But man, this is like you kind of were this for me, but when I was at Federated and working 100% remote, I had like one or two guys that they were also in the same exact position I was. And we literally talked on the phone or texted or voice chatted, or something called Voxer, every single day. Dude, this client pissed me off, or man, this sucks, or oh my God, my life is terrible. It's going down the toilet. Like anything, the highs, the lows, just the mundane. And that does something for your mental health that I can't really describe. I mean, you have your wife or your spouse or whatever at home, you got your friends, but it's just different when they're in the thick of it. You could talk about your income, right? Like openly, like, man, I only made this. And you don't want to be that guy that talks about your income to people that aren't in the industry, either. So it's like, there's just something different about that. So what I would say is if you're in this community, maybe you just, get involved and maybe you end up making one or two like really good, kind of buddies that you never have to meet in person, right? You end up chatting and it turns into kind of Max Revenue one day, right? So because
I literally just met you for the first time ever.
Yeah. So Trey, so for those who are new to the channel, Trey and I just met literally for the first time. We played golf. He flew out here in Austin over Christmas, and that was the first time we ever met after talking in 2018. So, and then it kind of went in spurts. We talked a lot, then it went silent, talked a lot, and then when he found out I was leaving, we started talking more, just about kind of because he was thinking about leaving. So his agency, but yeah, those were the two things that I would kind of, as you were talking there.
Yeah, I like it. Real quick, just to circle back, who won at golf?
I don't, man, my memory's been so bad lately. Like
I hear you. That's a great trait to have as a producer. You got to have a short memory.
Yeah. But don't forget, I drove it just as far as you, even though you're twice my size.
You did, and you sold over 2 times what I did last year, almost 3x what I did last year. So, anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. I think we kind of kicked this thing good. At the end of the day, it's like I don't think either one of us think that we are or want to be known as like gurus or like, hey, you should listen to us. It's just kind of like, hey, man, we know the industry's hard. We've been through the thick of it. We're back in the thick of it again. We're here to help anybody who's a few steps behind, and we're definitely here to learn from anybody that's a few steps ahead. A mentor of mine always used to say, like a rising tide raises all ships, and I thoroughly believe that and subscribe to an abundance mindset. Not worried about educating, my competition. At the end of the day. There's plenty to go around for everybody, and if there wasn't, then, they wouldn't be hiring producers like it's going out of style. So anyways, anything else you wanted to chime in on?
No, I think that's kind of, that covers it for me.
Yeah, we'll make this one short and sweet. So I'm not going to link to anything else. I'm just going to put the link to the Max Revenue HQ community in the show notes, wherever you're consuming this, YouTube, Spotify, whatever. Just go to the show notes if you're haven't already joined. We'd love to see you on the inside. And yeah, let's go kick some ass and take some names.
Adios.
All right. See y'all.
See you.